It is your weekend tradition for over 400 episodes. I am Justin LeBar. He is Josh Eisenberg. This is Wrestling Inc. and it's Chair Shot Reality, where we're talking all the things going on in the world of professional wrestling, mainly WWE. Josh, you're down there in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm here in Pittsburgh, but no matter where you are in the world, you've heard about the story that is John Cena and Nikki Bella. They broke up a few weeks ago. Now John Cena's on the Today Show talking about how much he misses her and he wants to be the father of her children. Nikki's saying how much she loves him, but she needs to do her. Is this all one big... Are we building to like a WrestleMania match or something?
This has to be an elaboration. They're elaborating that they're split up and we're not sure what happened and no information's coming out, but both people are heartbroken. I mean, this sounds like the absolute best season finale of Total Divas that they could ever go through, right? It's so interesting because at first it was very surprising to me because we know the quirks of John Cena, we know the quirks of Nikki Bella, and putting them together, years and years ago, and now to the point of being engaged at WrestleMania 33, and then WrestleMania 34, they're not there. Like, what's the point of living if John Cena and Nikki Bella aren't engaged and they're not getting married? I don't care anymore. Like, it's so annoying to me that this is what John Cena is now. Everything that he hated 10 years ago, he's this guy.
Well, I'll say this: I heard Nikki Bella, or I read Nikki Bella's comments rather about how the speculation of is this will work, how it's that much harder for her, and this is real heartache. But and I'm a big Nikki Bella fan. But girl, come on, you guys are famous for a world and a genre that lives on a lie, lives on a work.
Yeah.
So you can't, and you have reality show cameras around you. So I mean, I unfortunately I can't feel bad for her. She's got to expect, whether this is legitimate or not, you're going to get these questions. You're going to get the speculation.
And it's always going to be hearsay. It's always going to be one person's word over another. And obviously, speaking of one person's word over another, Enzo Amore, Justin, looks like his charges are dropped. Wasn't even charged with anything, but everything seems to be cleared. Real name Eric Arndt and the whole instance with him. So my question is, what's next for Enzo Amore?
Well, I think you're going to see him in the sports entertainment / pro wrestling world. I think a place like an Impact Wrestling seems like it would be a very possible destination. They are... they could use. I mean, let's face it. He was a draw before he got let go by WWE. He was a draw. He's got a lot of charisma, so he's certainly somebody that Impact Wrestling could use and do something with, and try to give him a second chance, both with his public image and with his image internally in the business amongst the locker room. As we certainly heard the fair share of problems that he was having in WWE. I think an Impact Wrestling is very possible. And it's probably, if he can keep out of trouble, if he can stay off of TMZ, it's probably pretty likely he will get back with WWE eventually. I don't think that's going to be today, tomorrow, or next week, or even next month. But yeah. I mean, talk about fantasy booking though. Imagine if WWE did take Enzo back. Imagine now that they have the focus somewhat in a singles big cast. Imagine having Enzo as the barking dog manager, perpetuating the heel cast.
And you were the one, I think, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, before Enzo and Big Cass started getting stale, pretty much right around WrestleMania 33. You were the voice of saying, how great would this tag team be if they were these cocky heels from New York, from Jersey? I mean, a lot of money could be invested in them, and obviously at that time they didn't want to do that because of how much money they're making and raking in for merchandising. But the fact now that they have other people, taking that home, and it always happens, it's a rotating cycle where you have guys that are top merchandise sellers. Hell, who would have thought Rusev would be one of the top merchandise sellers this time, even 3 months ago, let alone a year ago? So if you bring Enzo Amore back, maybe I could see him coming back in 2019. I think you give him some time to kind of learn from this experience, not necessarily the sexual assault allegations, but his credibility backstage, his behavior. There could be a good opportunity for him back in WWE. They always need guys with more charisma. That's always what you need. You can be an okay wrestler, but if you have that charisma, it could take you further in bigger places.
Sure, and Vince is no stranger to giving guys second, third, sometimes fourth chances. So and granted, let's be honest. According to the law, all he's done is got himself caught up in the wrong crowd.
The wrong crowd
with the wrong accusations. But ultimately, the police decided there's nothing there. So really, the only thing he's really guilty of is just some bad judgment and maybe some bad backstage etiquette, but that he wouldn't be the first one to try to overcome that and get that second chance. And I don't know if second chance is the segue, but the Revival surprisingly shows up answering an open challenge at an NXT live event. Josh, is this just a one-off to appease the crowd, or is this signaling their future?
Well, it's strange to me because you want to appease the crowd, it's a cool surprise here and there, and they did this years ago, obviously, when they had guys like Cesaro and Zack Ryder when NXT was in a different period, but bringing guys from the main roster and doing live shows, or even doing NXT, television, quote, television tapings. I see this as no good for a few reasons. No good for NXT because they have to put these guys on a live show, but they have a plethora of other tag teams down there that they've liked, right? You know, Heavy Machinery, War Raiders, Street Profits. They have all these teams, but it's also not good for the Revival. Like, whose idea was it? Oh, hey, you know, Dawson and Wilder, let's go down to NXT for a show. They probably didn't care because they were still getting paid and everything. But what has happened to these guys on the main roster that they're not even getting a blink of an eye of a chance to make a tag team division, more top guyish and giving them an opportunity to be tag team champions? They're not even getting the opportunity to do that, Justin.
I don't know if it's because of political reasons. I don't know if it's because of just, hey, you're not our priority right now creatively. But I mean, it begs the question. Do you want to ride the bench on the majors, or do you want to be hitting home runs in AAA? And I use that analogy, but at the same time, we've heard it for many years now. Triple H has said that the ultimate goal is for NXT to be a third brand and it be a two-way street of guys can go to NXT and not be considered a demotion. So maybe this is the start of that, of like, hey, if we don't really have much going on for you on Raw and SmackDown, why waste you traveling onto those shows when we can get you on an NXT show and you can help that product?
Prime example was Zack Ryder. I mean, look at Zack Ryder teaming up with Mojo Rawley as the Hype Bros, and then when Mojo gets called up, there was something there. I'm surprised that at this point right now, American Alpha, the Ascension, those two teams have had more to do in their first year in WWE television, the Vaudevillains, than the Revival, who in my mind was one of the best tag teams going in 2016 and 2017.
Now, where are the Authors of Pain? Why are they wrestling main event matches?
I have
main event as in the show, people.
Main event, the show, main event. Yeah, they're far away from the main event. It's interesting. The tag team division is in a state of flux right now on Raw. SmackDown, they have way too much tag team talent, and that's my problem with the Superstar shakeup. Looking back at that, you have so many really great tag teams on both shows, but you have more on SmackDown for 2 hours compared. I mean, we're the Usos. The Bludgeon Brothers don't have a match. Well, we can talk about that for hours with me, but. The last thing, it looks like there's going to be an all-in event, Justin. Are you going to be all-in with the 10,000 fans that sold out in under 30 minutes? There is a rumor that Juice has purchased 200 tickets just so he can have an entire section dedicated to him and his tissues when the Young Bucks come out.
I heard that same rumor. First off, congratulations to them. I probably will not. I don't think I'm going to be there. I can't bring myself to do the travel when I get there. I'm excited, but I'm excited enough I can watch it at home. And however, I'm sure they're going to stream it somewhere. That said, it is a remarkable event. It's an accomplishment. I appreciate what the Young Bucks have accomplished. They're not my cup of tea, but that said, it's still pretty remarkable what them and Cody have been able to do. Basically pulling a buffet of the best of, or at least the best of who they can afford realistically and book realistically from guys of all different promotions around the world. So it's for people that want a little bit different speed. People that want pro wrestling and they feel WWE doesn't necessarily present that in the way they want. This is going to be a big event, and the biggest thing probably off of it is what could come to follow it. Because if this becomes really successful, sponsors and other big money pockets might go, okay, well maybe can this be something that can be a yearly thing, that can be kind of like how I mean, we've seen other big shows that obviously New Japan has their big one they do on January 4th. I mean, maybe this becomes a big annual non-WWE show each year, and who knows what that spawns into. So for wrestling fans in general, this is a very exciting thing.
This is exciting. This is energetic. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of the Young Bucks. Nothing against them personally. I think they're absolutely fantastic at what they've been able to do outside of the WWE umbrella. It's going to be successful. It's already successful because it's already sold out. The show's going to have a lot of buzz. If they want this to be memorable and they want to change professional wrestling, right? Well, they better start chanting and cheering for a guy who's not a professional wrestler to whoop somebody's ass in 1 month in the octagon so they can open the checkbook for a Mr. CM Punk. And I know that people were saying, that's a pipe dream that CM Punk could potentially be in this, and that will be the icing on the cake, and it's so unrealistic. Well, who would have thought that 10,000 seats in an arena in Chicago would sell out that quickly for a non-WWE event, when even sometimes WWE has trouble selling out Chicago? So I'm going to be excited to see after June, after UFC 225, what happens if that phone rings and they say we have the biggest surprise in professional wrestling, and you're knocking on the door because it's clobbering time.
I'm going to say this. If CM Punk loses at UFC in 1 month, I think that really is going to increase the chances that he shows up at All In. And I don't think that they are not going to advertise him being there. They're not even going to really tease. If he shows up, he will be unadvertised. It'll be a surprise. whether it's a run-in.
Tickets already sold. Yeah.
Right, and Cody said in an interview, that would be cheating. They wanted to sell this on them. They even waited until they announced Rey Mysterio. So if he shows up, it'll be an unadvertised surprise somewhere within the show. I mean, if he loses at UFC, which might signal, okay, the UFC experiment's just not going to
gets bigger.
Right. I would bet my favorite brands of vodka, my acid cigars, and my Playboy edition.
Acid cigars. Come down to Florida. I'll give you a real cigar.
And I'll throw in my Playboy edition with Maria Kanellis on the cover of it.
Nobody wants that sticky.
I will bet them all.
Nobody wants your Playboy
I
magazine.
will all in on the poker table that we would see CM Punk if CM Punk loses at UFC.
Sticky Playboy magazine. Is it still underneath your bed?
Maybe.
That's not your bed.
But you don't know where I keep them. You got to stash them around.
I don't want to know. Nobody wants to know.
Nobody wants to know. What we do want to know is what exactly is WWE thinking? Ronda Rousey getting a title shot, and maybe even more so the title shot, but how they have announced the title shot. We'll talk about that. Plus, we'll talk about the new and pending WWE TV deal that's going to take place in 2019. Is it with NBC? Is it with Fox? Is it with Amazon? A lot of questions, a lot of potential spin-off factors of how long Monday Night Raw and SmackDown could be. All that to talk about here. Chairshot Reality on Wrestling Inc. Stick with us on the playlist.